Hey there, happy day 1116 of What You Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, sharing my journey as I transition from the brick and mortar corporate world of real businesses to the online world. I like to say real businesses because it totally annoys my online friends, right? When I say, well, yeah, but online isn't a real business. It totally is, right? Real business is defined by each and every one of us. So what's up? What am I working on? Working on my usual things. Get Up and Go Challenge, day 17 today. All about the O in our soap framework. I actually like these old soaps that I made last year better with the Get Up and Go Challenge last year, but it doesn't matter. I'll come up with something. I might actually create a line of soap that goes along with the challenge and with the soap framework. I think that'd be kind of fun. So everybody that does the challenge, we mail them a bar of soap, and that would help remind them every single day of using this and making until it becomes automatic. You know, how many times do we wash our hands a day now? Me, I've always washed my hands for at least the last 35 years, at least 30 sometimes a day, because I worked in the food industry. And guess what? We're always washing our hands. Everything's got to be clean and sanitary. So for me, COVID, no brainer. We're just sometimes using sanitizer instead of actually washing our hands, which I'm not sure which is harder on the hands. I went and got my nails done the other day, and the lady's like, "Your hands are so dry." And I'm like, yeah, I know. She's like, "You might want to think about putting oil and gloves on them at night." And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Not. I would like to, I should, but I forget. I just get tired and I climb into bed and I forget about it. So today, what am I thinking about? I'm thinking about, I did an interview yesterday on a lady's podcast, and she's doing a series of the one problem. And I was thinking about it and talked to my daughter. I might have mentioned it on this bit a couple days ago that I was going to do that, and I had to come up with something to do. So what did I do? I brainstormed a couple of ideas of what are different problems that I could talk about for 5 to 10 minutes and then provide the solution, because you don't want to just bring up a problem for everybody and then not offer up any solutions. Personally, hate that. Have you ever been a boss or a leader of some organization, and yeah, you're the leader, it's your job to manage everybody, but everybody all day long, all they do is bring you their problems, dump them in your lap, and expect you to solve them. Well, number one, that's bad training on our part or your part. If you don't coach people and train them on how to be self-solvers and to solve their own problems and to come with you for guidance and advice, but not expect you to do it for them. And that to me is a management issue and a training issue as well. But when I think about all the possible problems that we could talk about, I'm like, what am I going to talk about? Well, then it turns out I was in charge of my brand new week-old baby granddaughter. So during my interview, I had to bring her with me and hold her in my lap. You couldn't see her because I don't want her to be on video, and I don't know if her parents want her to either, or on, out in social media. I think everybody has their own opinion, but nowadays I think it's probably not a great idea to have your kids out in the world of social media. Just my opinion for a lot of reasons, but it's everybody's choice. It's each parent's choice, but it's not my choice to decide if they're going to be out in the World Wide Web or not. It's not my job to put them out there. So I had to do it with her in my lap, which was fine. She slept through the whole thing. But I decided the problem I was going to talk about was being you, being who you really are, being your authentic self. And maybe it's partly because for a lot of reasons, but it's partly because I'm doing one thing every day that centers me. This year, my year is focusing on who I really am and what makes me tick, and I wanted to kind of share that. I could have shared about the Get Up and Go Challenge. I could have shared about all kinds of business stuff, but I'm like, what is the biggest issue that most of us as human beings are facing? And that's the fear of actually showing up in the world as who we are, all of us, like what we believe, what we stand up for, what's important to us, what we think is ridiculous, and being able to express that in a way that lets us be our true, real, I don't like the word authentic, but I guess it's authentic, self, and let by doing that, we give everyone else around us permission to do the same thing. But we have to do that, right? If we get to be ourselves, it means we have to let everyone else be themselves too, and understand that all of us are flawed. None of us are perfect. We're going to be really good at some things, not so good at others. We're going to love some things about ourselves. We're going to hate other things about ourselves. But we need to be who we really are. We need to make choices and decisions that are in alignment and consistent with our core values, what's really important to us. So if love and family is your core value, and you're living consistently with that, you're going to make different decisions and choices throughout your entire life about work and other relationships and involvement with different entities and organizations, you're going to make choices based on that if you're living true to that core. Why do I say this? Because I know times in my life when I didn't show up as my authentic self. In corporate America, it was me, but it was only part of me. Only a segment of me and my personality and my beliefs and my values showed up in any position that I had in corporate America. My last job in corporate America was probably it was absolutely hands down my favorite. Why? Because I went in there guns blazing, 100% Sharon Horne-Ellstrom. I went in as exactly who my authentic self was. I said, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, this is what I believe, this is how I will behave. And I went through the interviews, and I was my last interview with them was a department head interview, which was with all of the department heads that I would be a part of. I'd be a member of that team and report to. And they got to just fire questions at me. And I just went in there. I decided, okay, this would normally be really scary, but I've done corporate America where I was only sharing and only being a part of me. And that worked out great. I had a great corporate career. But if this is going to be the situation, I'm going to go in and be, hey, this is exactly who I am and how I feel about things. Am I open and flexible to change and see things differently? Absolutely. But right now, as I'm coming in, this is who I am. What you see is what you get. And I think that's why I love that job so much, is I went in like that. I was true to myself and true to my core values and who I was and how I wanted to show up in the world. And that opened up a lot of doors for me. Actually, it was so awesome that within 3 months, I inherited a whole nother department under my umbrella of responsibility. And it was cool because it was an area I had zero, or not zero, but darn near close to zero experience in that particular area of running a business. It was all about, guess what? Sanitation and health, which was in a food industry, which was perfect pre-training and consistent training with the business I'd been running on the side, an Italian food manufacturing business. So it was win-win, because not only did I learn and attain more skills and get a whole nother level of education and experience in a giant corporation, but I could apply a lot of what I learned into my own smaller business that was growing at the time. So I don't even remember why I was telling that story. Don't you hate when that happens? You're telling a story and I'm like, I started to tell this story for a reason and now I don't even remember why. Oh, being my authentic self. So there we go, back on track. So I realized that it's awesome and fun to actually be yourself and be who you are. Did some people hate me there? Yeah, one of the maintenance managers, he hated me because I didn't fall for excuses and nonsense and held people accountable to do what they said they would do. I would call them out and follow up if they didn't do what they said they were going to do. And certain people didn't like that. They don't like being held accountable to do what they say they're going to do. So, not always loved and popular for holding people accountable, including myself. I always held myself accountable as well. But I also treated other people the way I expected to be treated. I expected everyone to treat me the way I would treat them, if that makes sense. So I actually discovered the importance of being my 100% authentic true self, both in work, at home. That's probably when my marriage started to have challenges, is when I actually said, this is who I really am. It's working at work. Now I'm going to make it work at home. So anyway, I don't know, I just had a little flashbulb moment. But I then discovered after my sudden cardiac arrest that again, you know, people don't talk about when they have death experiences very often, but the clear message I received when I had my experience, I'm not going to talk about the details of that experience here, but was be you, be yourself. And I'd been thinking it for a while, but that was a clear indicator that that was what I really needed to do to live my best life, to become the best version of myself, was to actually be myself, be who I am here to be, and create what it is that I'm here to create. So I shared be you, and then how do you be yourself? How do you actually be who you are and be okay with that? But the biggest gift in all that is you being yourself, me being my 100% authentic self, gave everyone else in the organization, at least at our department level and our vice president level heads, permission to actually be true and think about who they were. And you saw people just change and bloom and grow and make massive personal development and career path changes and growth, and get incredible results in their different departments because they were showing up more as who they really were, not who they thought they should be to fit into the corporate mold, if that makes sense. So share be you, because it gives, be yourself, because everyone else is taken. Number one, there's no competition for you. Once I interviewed, and they were interviewing, I think, 3 or 4 other people in that same format. Once I had my interview, my boss, once he hired me, he told me, he's like, after that group interview, he said, there were no other contenders. Everybody else came in posturing and basically reading off their resume and answering off their resume. He said, you came in and just told it like it is, showed us who you were, told us what was strong, what wasn't, what you would do in this situation, what you wouldn't do, what you've tried in the past. Hands down, no competition. And it was actually because I was just being myself, right? And I was showing them how I would fit in, how I would match with their culture, how I would show up every day. And that hands down, being myself, ended up being the clincher for that particular job and that particular experience. So be you, be yourself. So that was fun yesterday. I did my first interview with my brand newest grandbaby in my arms. That was really fun. My older granddaughter, my son's daughter, has shown up in a couple of my videos, very rarely. I used to do my videos every day, and I was watching her, and she would once in a while, she'd peek in or she'd crawl up on my lap, and you'd see her little blonde curls peeking up in my videos. But again, I respect their parents, what their wishes are. That's what we're going to do for online appearance. Would I love to have my grandchildren show up in some of my videos and share some of the stuff that they're learning and that I share with other people? Absolutely. I think it'd be super fun. But it would also be, I don't think it'd be appropriate for me to necessarily have them in unless it was in alignment with their parents' wishes. Because guess what? When I'm being me, their parents get to be them too, themselves too. So big problem is, why do I think that was appropriate for the interview? There's lots of problems we could talk about. We could talk about all these things that are going on in society right now, but they all boil down to people not feeling good about themselves as they are and thinking that they have to be something different than they are, or create ripples to get more power or more control of things outside of themselves. And really, all any of us ever need to do is control ourselves and our response to things and our reaction, and make sure we're moving in the direction that is right for us. And we don't need to manipulate or manage other people's things, if that makes sense. So that's why I thought that was a good problem, because everything starts with us. It starts in us and exudes out. And so we have to be the best version of ourselves and understand that we're continually improving to be a better and better and better version of ourselves. Or we see some of the craziness that's going on in the world right now. We see people manipulating other people, cheating and lying and stealing and embezzling and murdering and having crimes and doing evil things when they're not truly in alignment with who they are. And then, I don't know, I'm not the master of the universe. There absolutely positively is good and evil in our world. And so I don't even pretend to try to understand evil intent and evil behavior. I don't get it. And guess what? I don't want to understand it. I don't want to understand why people do bad and evil things, because I want to focus on what works for me. And evil and bad and cheating and lying and stealing, it doesn't work for me. It makes my skin just kind of crawl. So I don't want to understand it. I want to just not let it even be a part of my existence and a part of my life. Centering challenge today was about learning something in the morning and then sharing it with someone else throughout the day. I love doing that, learning something and then sharing it with somebody else. A lot of times it's my kids that end up hearing it first, and I test it out on them, and then I do videos and I share a lot of what I've learned, a lot of what I've seen over like lots of years of experience. I'm going to be 61 next month, actually in less than a month. I'm going to be 61. So lots of years of stuff that's worked and stuff that hasn't worked. And as I've come online versus the offline world, I'm seeing, what's different, what's changed, how do I have to change and be different in the online world than I was in the offline world. Heck, offline world, all I had to do was go to work, show up, do my thing. And in the online world, it's a little different. I have to show up, do my thing, but it's still, there's nuances and differences that I'm still working through, even after a couple of years of it. It's like, how do I want to be? How do I want to show up? Who do I want to be with respect to the online world, my online presence? And then I have to remind myself, be yourself. Who are you really? And who are you here to serve? What do you want to do? How do you want to show up? And that's just a reminder for all of us. Always be circling back. Oh my God, I just said circle back. Always be coming to your core and your center and what's important to you. And if you're in alignment with that, moving consistently toward what you want, you're bound to get there. There's no way you cannot. Is that it? Get up and go, supersize. Oh, today's idiom today was, even a stop clock is right twice a day. And I used, of course, my granddaughter's favorite stop clock. Why is it stopped? Actually, because I took the batteries out, because every hour on the hour, it sings a different Christmas song, and it's kind of loud. So you can't really sleep through it. So the first couple days we had it, and then I had taken it out of storage, and we turned it on. I had forgotten it was a gift, and I forgot that every hour on the hour, 24 hours a day, it goes off. And as much as I love Christmas songs, I don't need to hear them every hour on the hour, 24 hours a day. Once I go to bed, I don't want to be woken up every hour by anything. So once Christmas is over, out come the batteries. So then that clock is stopped, and it's only right twice a day. But it is right twice a day. All of us, no matter how wacko we might seem, are right sometimes, right? All of us human beings. There's a kernel of truth in everything that's put out into the world. Even the propaganda and stuff that the mass media and social media are putting out right now, there's a kernel of truth to it, right? Or it's a twisted version of the truth, enough that people believe it, people buy into it. That's why I always say, think for yourself. Do your own homework, do your own research. Don't blindly follow anything. The days of, watching the nightly news and believing 100% that it was the reporting and the truth are over. And it's okay. I think it's wrong. I don't agree with it. I really miss true who, what, where, when, why, and how reporting. Hey, this is what's going on. You decide what it means to you, right? Isn't that the way we want to be? Hey, here's the situation. You get to decide what it means to you. But there is no here's the situation anymore. It's here's what you need to think about everything. And I find that truly disturbing and disheartening. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. I like to think for myself and teach everyone around me to do the same, because only you know what is in your best interest. Only you know what is right for you. No government, no politician, no media outlet, nobody outside of you. Nobody, not your significant other, not your mom, not your dad, not your cousins, not your friends. Nobody knows what's right for you but you. All right, we could talk about that for an hour. Have an amazing day. If I can help you in any way, ask in the comments below or direct message me.